Hollow Knight Silksong is officially here. It's been out for almost 2 months now, and I gotta say, Team Cherry has done it again. Their follow-up to the original Hollow Knight, Silksong, improves in so many different ways. Its combat is absolutely incredible. The movement is precise and quick. There's so much to the world of Farloom to explore. Just when you think the game is going to end, boom, a whole new area opens up to explore. You find the secrets, different enemies, really cool bosses. This game has just about everything that somebody's looking for in a Metroidvania. It is an amazing follow-up to the original Hollow Knight, and it definitely serves the Hollow Knight name and does it justice. Now, some of the things that I love about this game are the combat. The bosses are super fun, they're varied, and they give you a whole range of ways to defeat these bosses. You can go in and you can just attack regularly, jump, pogo, do all that kind of good stuff. But they give you different tools to use. You could have just a singular dart. You could have 3 darts. You could have tacks that you can put on the ground in order to have them run over those tacks and maybe kite them into it and have them stay on those tacks and take a ton of different damage. You have little spike balls that you can kind of throw out, and if you throw them correctly, they'll run right into them and take a ton of damage from those as well. There's all sorts of tools at your disposal. Some of my favorites were the homing flies that you get. They really help out in certain areas where the flying enemies will come at you, and then as soon as you go to attack, they back up and they'll spit some bile at you or do whatever. With these homing flies, that advantage goes away for them. And it's really something that Team Cherry worked on, and you can tell put a lot of thought into. Another kind of new addition to this game are the crests. In the original Hollow Knight, you basically just had your normal attack, and then you had your like soul skills. And that's kind of really it. With Silksong, you have these crests that totally change how you pogo, how you attack enemies. And the crests have a certain way of healing. So for example, the one that I used the most was the Reaper crest. And what that does is when you heal, it will heal up 3 masks and then use your silk for that as well. But then when you hit an enemy, you have this kind of white glow aura around you, and these little shining orbs will pop out of the enemies when you hit them. If you collect these orbs, are able to hit them or just run into them, that will replenish your silk. So it promotes you being a little bit more aggressive in the way of, I got hit, instead of backing up, use those iframes after you get hit to really go in on the enemy, attack them, get some of that silk back so you can either heal up some more or use one of your silk skills. That was another really cool addition to this game, is they have 6 silk skills. You have just like a little harpoon that goes out. You have the strings of your soul go all around you in this circle. There's a bunch of different ones that really suit different play styles. And so that is where they improved from Hollow Knight. The combat is just hands down amazing. I do think the bosses in the original Hollow Knight are better and a little bit more varied, but that's not to say the bosses in Silksong are bad or whatever. They are really good, super fun. I know a lot of people have had trouble with Hollow Knight, Silksong saying that the game is really hard and it's pretty punishing with the runbacks and whatnot. I didn't really find that to be the case for me. While I do think I am pretty dang good at these types of games, I'm not the best player in the world, but I really wasn't having too much trouble with most of the bosses. Some of the bosses, yes, absolutely. One of the runbacks for the boss in Biowater sucks. You basically have to traverse the entirety of Biowater upwards while avoiding these huge enemies that spit a ton of poison at you. And it's just not a fun run back. When you finally do get to that boss again, you have an arena of enemies that attack you that you have to defeat, and there's poison at the bottom, so if you accidentally fall into that, now all of a sudden, if you don't have the silk to heal yourself, you just can't at all. You have to be able to get that silk back and be able to use it quick enough before the poison makes it run out again. So once you heal yourself, you heal that poison, but you don't heal any of your masks. So now you have to build up your silk again to do that. And with that arena specifically, and that boss specifically, it really does kind of take away from a fun boss fight. There's another boss that I kind of got stuck on. It took me probably 10 tries. But other than those two bosses and then the final boss, I think the most tries a boss took me was 5, maybe? And most of them took 2, maybe 3. The game isn't as difficult as some people are making it out to be. But that's just me personally. I know everyone has different skill levels, and some people may not have played Metroidvanias or 2D games in general as much as I have. Another part that I think they improved upon was the exploration. With the tools that you have, you're able to navigate certain areas a little bit easier than you would in the original Hollow Knight. You had a couple movement abilities in Hollow Knight, but for the most part, Silksong improves upon that with your L2 hookshot, your double jump, your cloak expanding, and you can float down. You have the sprint option. There's a bunch of different ways in order to get around the environments and explore different areas that you might not have been able to earlier on in the game. Something that I don't like as much in Silksong, though, are the environments as a whole. I think that Hollow Knight had a lot more of a varied like biodomes areas that you could go into. The Crystal Caverns are a standout for me. There's just so many different areas in Hollow Knight that feel unique and feel lived in, like the Mantis Village and places like that. With Hollow Knight Silksong, there are areas where there are more characters, which is really cool. They're on that pilgrimage to the very top of the Citadel. But I felt that the areas weren't necessarily as varied as the original Hollow Knight. They're still amazing, still super beautiful. The depth of these areas with their background art really make them feel a lot more expansive, even in the more claustrophobic areas. The background makes it feel like it has more depth to it, which is really cool. But as far as areas that are fun to explore and more intriguing to explore. I felt like Hollow Knight did it a little bit better. With that said, the story in Hollow Knight Silksong, I think, is better. It's less obtuse. You don't have to necessarily find a bunch of different lore items around the world, and there's more characters in Silksong, and they give you different quests, so that promotes exploration. They also have dialogue that kind of alludes to what is happening in this world and give the world a little bit more life, which I really, really enjoyed. With those quests, though, they can be a little fetch questy. They're not necessarily incredibly fleshed out, but they do offer a nice little shake-up to Hollow Knight, where the quests were there, but you kind of just had to remember what you were doing, where you were going, who to talk to. This game is a little bit better with being able to track those and remember where you're going. And they give you some rewards, which is nice. That might be rosaries, that might be part of a silk mask, it might be a tool or a silk spool. There's a bunch of different rewards, which is really nice. Another thing that I love is the art style. It really does match the first Hollow Knight in terms of art. It's such a beautiful, beautiful art style that you instantly know is Hollow Knight, whether that's the first one or Silksong. There's no question about, oh shoot, is that maybe this game, or oh, this first-person shooter kind of looks like this other first-person shooter. I'm not really sure. You know for a fact which game it is right away. It's poetry in motion, essentially. Like, it's beautiful from a background perspective, from a foreground perspective. The enemies are drawn in a way that is appealing, and you know that they're enemies. The color in the different environments really pop out, especially after you've gone through more of a brown claustrophobic area, and then it opens up into this beautiful verdant landscape. It is really striking, and it creates this balance throughout the world that I really, really, really enjoyed. But overall, this game is a Game of the Year contender for sure. It's going to be up there with Expedition 33 personally for me, but I want to try and platinum this game. I don't know if I'm going to be able to. I did 100% the game, and I saw the true ending, which is great, but beating it in fewer than 5 hours and also 100%ing the game in fewer than 30 hours might be a bit difficult, but I think I am going to try for it. With all that said, I'm so glad it's finally out. I'm so glad people seem to be really, really enjoying it. Sounds like the pirators said, people, please do not pirate this game. Just buy it. It's $20, which is a steal, might I add. And it just is a game that somehow, after years and years and years of waiting, lived up to expectations and exceeded expectations in certain ways. The music is great. It's very ambient. It really just puts you into that world. You just got to get this game. You got to get this game. You got to play it. It is one of the best games of the year. Even if you're not a 2D fan necessarily, I really do think this game is worth it. You do have to be a little patient. Like I said earlier, it wasn't necessarily a super difficult game for me, but I could see how people could get there. So give it a try. Be patient if it's not your normal type of game. And if you really do give it the time of day that it deserves, I promise you, you will love it. But those are just my opinions. It's a great game. Can't wait to play this for years to come. But I want to know what you guys think. Please let me know down in the comments. What do you think of this game? Are you as high on it as I am? Or are you a little bit more disappointed? I'd be really interested to hear why you are disappointed. I think it's really fun to have those conversations when I'm on one side and somebody's on the complete other side. So please let me know down in the comments what you think of this game. What's your favorite part? What are some parts that you think could be improved for DLC or a sequel? I want to hear it all. But with all that said, thank you so much for tuning in. I was so happy to be able to make this video finally, and I would love it if you could like the video, subscribe, share, leave a comment, do all that stuff. It would really mean a lot. It helps out the channel more than you could ever know, and I cannot wait to see what everyone else is saying about this game. So again, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.